This is probably like the most, or the closest I'm ever going to come to being a university lecturer. So if I get self-indulgent at any point, please feel free to, bring me back on course. This is about the environment. So have people been enjoying the Zero Waste Festival? Yes. Did anyone learn anything new about plastics? Yeah, okay. What did you learn, sir?
About soft plastic not being really recycled.
Yeah, about soft plastic not being really recycled. Very good. Yeah. It's not funny, but it is true. So that's okay. Which is going to be, but we're going to take the true things today and hopefully make them funny. That is the plan. Did anyone make any Tetra Pak wallets? No. I saw that happening. That looked quite cool. Anyone make any sanitary towels? Yeah. Yes, very good. Just yourself. Was it difficult? But you had a sewing machine?
No, I don't sew. I need to invest in any sewing machine.
All right, okay, very good. Oh well, anyway, there we go. It happened. Did anyone travel from outside of Dublin to be here today? Yes, just yourself. That was really polite. We're definitely not in a lecture theatre, okay? So whether we are one, but this is not a lecture, please do laugh at anything at all that you might think is vaguely funny. Excellent. Feel free to whoop or, make positive vocal contributions. They are also very much welcome. So hello, whereabouts did you travel from? Athlone, okay, very good. And did you come specifically for the festival?
Yes.
What's been the most exciting thing so far?
I'm not sure so far.
Well, that should be this then, wouldn't it? I'm glad to have answered that question for you. What's your name? Grania, lovely. Nice to meet you, Grania. Is there anyone here students at Trinity? Me. I did hear you. Very good acoustics. We like it. What's your name? Marion? Yes, and what are you studying, Marion? A PhD. And what are you studying in the PhD world? Clearly I don't. Pardon? Oh, environmental science. Okay, brilliant. Just what we wanted, an expert to find holes in all our jokes. You're very welcome. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. That's there's some things you should know. The 5 R's of ECOmedy. Refuse, obviously. You may refuse to laugh at some of the jokes. That's okay. We're comedians. We're used to that. Reduce, some of our jokes may be reduced greatly due to the narrow scope of the subject. Recycled, you may actually take some of these jokes and recycle them at a family gathering. Just make sure you give full credit to the genius who wrote it. Some of them may be repurposed as well. Yeah, some of them, if you've seen any comedians before, you're like, I'm pretty sure I heard that joke before, but they were talking about a holiday in Ibiza. So some of that, we might upcycle them a bit. And then, of course, there's rot, isn't there? Some of them will just try them out and we'll just have to put them straight in the compost. But that's okay, we're used to that. Okay, those jokes seem to be more for the comedians than you. So I apologise for that. So it's actually really exciting to be here because, a few years ago, right, if you were to have an event like this, where you were to challenge people's attitudes on how their behaviours affect the environment and the climate, you wouldn't be able to tell them that's what you were doing. No, you'd be like, oh, come to this thing, there's going to be people and drinks, it'll be grand. And then they'd get there like, okay, so we need to talk about the environment. And they'd be like, huh? I didn't sign up for this. Like, yeah, you did. It was just in the fine print, Where now you can actually use climate change, the environment, and zero waste, to actually sell an event. It's actually popular now. It's great, which is just really reassuring for me, because I spent years of being like, the keep cup weirdo. You went to the coffee shop and they're like, you want it in that? Like, yeah, if you could, that would be great, yeah. And they're, oh no, if you could just put it straight in, that would be terrific. They're like, so you want to take away coffee, but you don't want a takeaway cup. Is that it? Precisely. Yeah, that should be great. So it's actually really nice that doesn't happen anymore. But I have to say, I am missing the strange looks I used to get. So now I've started to bring around a little compost backpack, just to bring back that bit of attention into my daily life. But I have a really good lineup for you. We're absolutely packed, so I'm going to get straight going. Who's been to stand-up comedy before? Ooh, okay, very good. Who's never been to stand-up comedy before? Ooh, okay, yes. As I said, feel free to be a bit louder. That's great. And then the other people, they're not sure, is that it? You went to something that was perhaps stand-up comedy, but you couldn't quite figure it out. Okay, well, hopefully, after today, everybody, the next time they go to a stand-up comedy gig and someone says, have you been to stand-up comedy before? You'd be like, yes, I certainly have. Well, guys, you are in for a real treat. We've got some really clever, funny people. Are you excited? Woo! Brilliant. You give them all your love. They're going to give you some fantastic jokes. First, I want to bring to the stage an absolutely fantastic performer. I've had the pleasure to gig with her many a times, and you're going to love her. Bring to the stage Annie Gill, everybody. Woo!
Hi, guys. Hello. We're all doing great, right? This is such a wonderful festival, and I'm so happy to be playing a tiny part in it because we're all just doing our best, and we're fantastic. We're doing the big stuff, we're doing the small stuff, and we're great. And now that I'm getting a chance to look at you all properly, we're also incredibly attractive. So, well done us. I just wanted to open on a very positive note because I know that this topic is very challenging and hard in so many ways. So just keep that in mind. We're doing great. Thank you. Oh my God, you guys, great. So fun. So where I'm not doing as excellently as I could be, right, is so I'm flying to Kenya on Thursday. And I'm not going for work, and I'm not going for any purpose other than to see my friend and sit on a beach. And it's not just one big flight, it's 2 flights, and it's 4 round trip. And I'm just going to get some sun, because I survived December and January, and I deserve some vitamin D, right? Right? And my big confession, because I use stand-up as therapy. Hi, guys. Hi, these are my other therapists. They're all here. You can bill me later. The big confession is that I did not think about the environmental impact when I decided where I wanted to go on holiday at all. Didn't cross my mind, not even once. And I know that I'm not the only one in the world, and I know that it's something that I should be thinking about. I've got my keep cup, I've got my reusable water bottle, I recycle. I'm at this festival, but I'm also going to Kenya to go to the beach. So you guys were great, it's fine. So I've been researching over the last few weeks about ways that I can reduce my carbon footprint that doesn't include me not going to Kenya. And one of the best things that any individual human can do to reduce their carbon footprint is to not have children. Right? That's easy. So no problem, just wear a condom. But I have 2. So can you imagine my guilt? And I'm not even Catholic. So it's new for me. And what I like to do when I feel this kind of guilt is to just take it and crunch it into a nice tight black ball, and I like to throw it at another person or persons in the form of intense judgment. And actually, that sounds kind of Catholic, doesn't it? Just guilt, shame, judgment. That feels better. That's it, right? That's Catholicism? Confirm me. So I found the perfect people to throw my guilt ball at. You'll be happy to hear. And that is those yummy mummies on Instagram who are getting paid to have babies. Everyone's like, wait, what? Okay, it's not exactly like The Handmaid's Tale, but is not dissimilar. So basically, there are these mothers on Instagram who, when they're pregnant, they will put a picture of themselves up wearing a maternity dress, and they'll be like, this is the most comfortable maternity dress. #ad, #gifted, #blessed. And then a few months later, the baby arrives, and there's a picture of a baby in a wicker basket on a beach, and they're like, this is the best organic onesie I've ever used. #ad, #sponsored, #blessed. And then all the pregnant women buy all the stuff, because if you're pregnant and you are on Instagram late at night, you buy all the stuff. So they get more followers, and they get more money, and they get a chance to do more ads the more children they have. Ergo, they are getting paid to overpopulate the planet. They're having 4, 5, 6 kids, right? I only have 2. Okay? So, thank you. I'm doing great. But then I met Gary, and you're going to hear from Gary a little later today, and Gary is much more of an expert in these things than I am, and he was like, you shouldn't feel guilty for your reproductive choices, and also you shouldn't judge other people for theirs, and da-da-da. I was like, I'm sorry, what? And he thought he was helping me feel better about my own life choices. In fact, he just handed my guilt ball right back to me. And then I was like, okay, so what am I supposed to do with this terrible feeling I have now again? This is good, isn't it? You guys, this is 3 years of drama school right here. Not a penny wasted. Do you want to see my jellyfish? Thank you. Yeah. Oh my God, you guys, thank you so much. My mother will be so proud. She'll be so proud. Thank you. Anyway, Gary told me not to judge those other people. Tried to make me feel better about myself. He said he'd send me some literature. He was hoping to send me the literature so that I could read it and feel better about myself and go out and be the change I wish to see in the world. Instead, I combed through that literature looking for other people to judge. Right? Because that's just where I am. Okay? And I found them. Turns out that people who make a decision to not have children for ecological reasons are actually using up more resources than those of us who have kids. And why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they? They have the time, they have the energy, they have the money, right? They can look at their diary on a Tuesday and be like, oh, we have nothing on this weekend. Let's go to Rome. And they can just get on a plane and fly to Rome for the weekend because they don't have to sift through Airbnb looking for a flat with a high chair. They don't have to pack an extra suitcase full of tiny clothes for someone who doesn't know how to use a toilet, right? They can buy clothes without pockets. They're so lucky. They're also the assholes, right? No, I'm kidding. Because we really can't be judging anybody, right? We are all gonna have to work together, and it's a really hard ship to try to turn around society-wise, and we got a long way to go. And I kind of feel like we are, as a society, dealing with climate change where we were in the early 80s dealing with smoking. Do you know what I mean? Like, all of the signs, all of the data, all of the research was all pointing in one direction, and it was like, cancer! And people were still like, would I like it? What am I supposed to do with my hands? And people would have these amazing excuses like, well, my grandmother smoked every day of her life and she died at 86 with a cigarette in her hand, happy. Explain that, And then the opposite argument that also proved the point, like, well, my Aunt Agatha never smoked a day in her life and she died at 50 of lung cancer. It could be anything, And I'm like, well, I'm not going to go to Kenya while my friend lives there. So we all need to cut out the cigarettes, to maybe think about our ecological impacts of our holidays. I mean, I am going to go to Kenya on Thursday, but I'm also going to start thinking about it. And, try to keep our guilt balls to ourselves and use our hands to make wallets and sanitary pads and keep going to festivals like this. Because you know what? We are doing great. And you're all very attractive. Thank you very much. My name is Annie Gill. Have a good rest of your day.
Give it up for Annie Gill, everybody! And if you want to hear more of Annie's fabulous insights into life, follow her on Twitter on IA Breakfast or Ann Gill. Next up, we are going to have a comedian who's actually going to share with us a snippet from their show called The Freedom Machine, which is actually all about one of the solutions to climate change, which you will see in a minute now. She's absolutely hilarious. Delighted to have her here, and that she brought back her show so we could see a little bit of it today. Give it up for the wonderful Elaine Gallagher! Woo!
Thank you. And keep that warm applause going for your wonderful host, Diane. So, yes, my name is Elaine, and I am a green comedian. Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much. So, yeah, I'm a green comedian in that I am envious of more successful comedians. And also, I'm surprisingly sexually inexperienced for someone in their mid-30s. Yeah, the only riding I really do is on a bicycle. So you can say that I'm quite green in every sense of the word. Do we have any other cyclists in, by the way? Yeah? You know what? Give yourselves a round of applause. That's a great amount of cyclists. That's great, yeah. You're very brave. Oh, no, you are brave. I genuinely mean that. You're brave. Because I feel like cyclist has become a bit of a dirty word. Yeah. I have friends who are clearly cyclists. I mean, you can tell by looking at them and how they move through the world. They're cyclists. But they've stopped using that term because they're afraid of alienating other groups. So instead, they started to use these broad, vague terms like road user, wheelist, and trafficker. I know, they prefer trafficker to the C word. But not me. I am 100% a C word. You can ask anybody; they'll happily confirm that. And as a proud C word, I thought today I would do a presentation for you, all about the bicycle. We got that rolling there? Okay, great. So let us begin with the do's of cycling. The do's of cycling for everyone. Okay, so easy steps to become a cyclist, really. So step number 1. Respect all cyclists. Now, as I said, I'm a proud cyclist, but I would say more specifically, I am a third wave cyclist. Yeah, now I have a lot of respect for my, previous cyclists, the previous eras before me, but the thing about third wave cyclists is we're a bit more progressive and a bit more inclusive, also intersectional. So we would, for instance, consider couriers to be cyclists. Now, this is a little bit controversial because, of course, couriers are paid to be cyclists. And so not everybody's comfortable with that, but we would support them. Like, I'm all for courier rights. It's very important. The other thing as a third wave cyclist is that we include city bike users. Yes. Now, this one is particularly contentious because there are those out there who say, well, they're not really cyclists, are they? I mean, they're not natural cyclists. They tend to come to it later in life. But I say, no, guys, if you identify as a cyclist, that means you are a cyclist, okay? I have no time for these city bike exclusionary radical cyclists. Get out of here. Obviously, scooters, that's a different story. But let's move on. Let's move on. Okay, wear what you want when cycling. So some of you may know this, but the reason why women started wearing trousers was because of the bicycle. Yeah, at the end of the 19th century, women were still wearing these long floor-length dresses, often with many petticoats and even hoop-ringed skirts. And so, you know, even when a polite gentleman asked, "Hey, missus, do you want to go and me penny farthing?" she would answer, "I will in me hoop." Which is where that expression comes from. Yeah, listen, it was just nigh on impossible to ride a penny farthing in a dress like that. But some badass women started to wear bloomers and then trousers, and the rest is history. But still today, I think it's very important to wear what you want when cycling, and most of all, be comfortable. And if you're the kind of person who's most comfortable wearing head-to-toe Olympic velodrome lycra when you nip to Tesco, I say go for it, guys. You do you. You do you. Okay, count to 10. So, you know, remembering the first rule, respect all cyclists. Having said that, it can be a bit frustrating when you find yourself behind a particularly slow cyclist. And so when those moments happen, my advice to you is to take a breath and count to 10. Then overtake that slow cyclist when it's safe to do so. Then count to 20 and chew down aggressively on your own fist as that same slow cyclist overtakes you when you're stopped at the traffic lights. Some people can relate. Now, obviously, the urge to scream in their moronic little face will take hold, but don't do that, guys. No. Instead, take another breath and say your mantra. I'll kill you with my bare hands. Sorry, no, that's not the mantra. And actually, a bicycle pump makes a surprisingly good weapon, just FYI. But no, your mantra is, I want to ride my bicycle, I want to ride my bike, I want to ride my bicycle, I want to ride it where I like. And then you can attempt to overtake once the homicidal rage has subsided. Go for it. Okay, channel your inner super cyclist. So, thinking about it, superheroes and their modes of transport. We have Superman, who flies, and not by Ryanair, so it's relatively green. We have Batman, who drives a big-ass car. Of course he does. He's a multimillionaire, and he doesn't give a shit about the environment. But sadly, I was kind of at a loss to find a superhero who gets around by bicycle. Or so I thought, until I stumbled upon Supergran. Now, most of you are probably too young to remember Supergran, so I suppose I could describe her as sort of like an old-timey Wonder Woman, but with a lot more tartan. Yeah, and she actually has quite an interesting backstory. She became Supergran when she was hit by a laser beam while watching a sectarian children's football match. I mean, I'm guessing it was sectarian because it was Glasgow in the late 80s. So chances are. And this laser beam bestowed her with certain powers, the most interesting of which was super hearing. And I feel like if you're going to give a superpower to an elderly person, like that's a really good power, isn't it? Because you know they'll appreciate it, if nothing else. And that'd be wasted now on a young fella like Spider-Man. So that is super grand. Guys, my final slide today is please become a cyclist. It's such a great thing to do. It's good for the environment. It's good for your health. And I suppose if I haven't fully convinced you, what I will say at the very least is please be mindful of everybody who graces the tarmac, be they cyclist, motorist, or the drunk child of the road, that is the pedestrian. They just walk out in front of you. It's like they've never been out in public before. But they too deserve our respect. And I feel like if we treated everybody with a bit more respect and a bit more compassion, it would be a better road for us all. Now on your bike. Thank you very much.
Give it up for Elaine Gallagher, everybody! Elaine Gallagher for General Election 2020! Any non-cyclists thinking of jumping on the bike? Right, yeah, you can think about it after, that's all right. So we are going to keep going on with the show. Our next comedian, another brilliant act. He's been winning lots of competitions and we're delighted to have him here. Give it up for Sean Begley! Woo!
Thank you very much, Diane. Hi, everybody. How you doing? Great. Okay. So my name is Sean, as Diane said. I'm 43. I'm married. I have 4 children. So I'm the problem, I suppose. My kids are 3, 6, 11, and 13, which are very unusual names for children, granted. I was delighted to get the call from Diane to take part in the festival, but I'm not sure I'm really qualified, to be here for the Zero Waste Festival because I kind of overindulged over the Christmas, and I think I'm a size 36 waist now, actually. Yeah, I won't be using that one again. Thanks. I thought it was going to be late, and I didn't want that to happen, so I hopped in my 12-litre leaded petrol engine Humvee to be here with you today. So I hope you appreciate that. This is the very first joke I wrote about the environment about 3 years ago when I started doing comedy. So I was thinking about America and their attitude towards the environment, and China as well, and like what difference are we making here in Ireland? It's the equivalent of showing up at the aftermath of a tsunami with a couple of sponges and a Vileda super mop, Doesn't do a hell of a lot. I'm fascinated with the environment, as I said. I got this fascination from my granddad. He passed away many years ago, but he was a very fascinating guy. Played a very important role in my life. He played the role of my granddad. He was real method like that, and he gave me the love of the nature, the nature. Like flora and fauna were actually his parents' names, so it's not surprising he ended up loving the nature. And what he used to do is he'd bring us outside, because that's where the nature is. It's outside, you see. And he'd do these various bird impressions to attract the birds a bit closer, so we get a proper look at them because we had no binoculars. So I'll try a few of them on, if that's okay. You up for that? Oh, okay. So here's the first one. It's cuckoo, cuckoo. It's a cuckoo. Yeah, it's a cuckoo. It's a pigeon. Yeah, very good, very good. Come on. That was a thrush, by the way. Thrush, I'm very, very sorry. And I really shouldn't be doing that joke. It's a bit inappropriate, and there's a friend of mine with quite a severe case of the thrush at the moment. Although, to be fair, it's probably the yeast of her problems right now. And incidentally, Diane, thanks a million for having me again. I do appreciate it. So, what else? In terms of waste, what have I been doing? I grew this beard as a sanctuary for invertebrates. So far as a couple of beetles, spiders, and several members of the Fine Gael cabinet, because they've no backbone. Satire, yeah. Yeah, I expect a call from RTE any day now. So what I like to do is cook enough food for a couple of days, freeze it, or stick it in the fridge to reduce my energy consumption, So I was cooking up a load of pasta there recently, and when I was transporting it over to the fridge to drain it, or the sink rather, spilled it all on the floor. The kids came over, stepped in it, and now I'm, even more concerned about our carbonara footprint. So, no, don't encourage me. That is a woeful joke, lads. That is terrible. So I was recollecting many years ago, I shared a house with a few people. One of them was a lovely girl called Emer. What her habit was, she'd cook too much food, leave it in the fridge for 3 or 4 days, and then she'd go to me, Sean, I'm throwing this out. Do you want it? because it wasn't good enough for her, but it was good enough for this animal here. No, of course, because I hate waste, I ate it. And quite a lot of food poisoning that year, actually, by coincidence. But, you know, it's a small price to pay when you are a virtue-signaling, validation-seeking eco-warrior like myself, you know. So that's just a little bit of sarcasm there, because I'm not actually doing enough, to be honest with you. So what I've been trying to do is cut back on meat. Any vegetarians in the room? A few of you, I imagine. Well done. It's an ethical choice, and it's quite difficult. So, you know, I'm doing okay. I eat meat maybe twice a week. As a substitute, because I have a ridiculous appetite, I've been eating quite a lot of lentils and broccoli, asparagus, and I suppose about 10, 12, 15 bits of fruit a day, I suppose. And with that amount of fructose in my body, I've been experiencing severe diarrhea, of course. But it's a small price to pay if you are a virtue-signaling, validation-seeking eco-warrior like myself. You know. So, my granddad, who I referred to earlier on, one of my most vivid memories is being out in their back garden one early autumn afternoon, and my granny was minding us, and granddad, he called us in for the lunch, and he says to me, Sean, what did you see now when you were out in the nature? And I said, I saw some insects, Grandad. You know, I was messing around with the leaves. And he goes, very good, Sean, very good, very good. And he turns to my brother, Tig, and he says, Tig, what did you see now when you're out in the nature? And Tig says, I saw some really old squirrels, Grandad. And the reason he phrased it that way is my granddad had convinced us that grey squirrels were like the elders of the red squirrel community. And we totally believed him because we were idiots. And then he turns to my little sister, Myrn, who would have been about 6 years younger than me at the time. Well, like she still is, obviously, because that's the way age gaps work, you know. And he says, Myrn, what did you see now when you're out in the nature? And my sister said, oh, I saw 2 blue tits, Grandad. And we started giggling, you know, it was a bit juvenile. We were children at the time. And Grandad turns to her and goes, didn't I tell your granny to put on a coat? So that's the kind of guy my granddad was. I miss him a lot. He's a good guy. So, how much time do I have left, Diane? Almost done? Okay. The diarrhea I referred to earlier on, I've actually written a children's book about it. So it's available in shops on the 1st of April. So it's Diarrhea of a Wimpy Kid, the last squirt. So thanks for listening. I've been Sean Begley. You guys have been, without doubt, an audience, I suppose. You've been a great audience. Thank you for listening, and good night.
Give it up for Sean Begley! And of course, the wildlife in his beard. Excellent. Are you ready for your next comedian? Woo! We're in for another treat. There's lots of treats, really. He's absolutely brilliant. He's been doing comedy a good few years now, and he's one of my favourites. Give it up for Lynham, everybody! Woo!
Hi there. I've noticed this is a very punny audience, so I'm just going to tell the 2 that I have. What's Army Hammer's dad called? Sleevey Hammer. And what was the phrasing of this one? Oh yeah, what was the most men's rights activist of the late Victorian writers? H.G. Well, actually. So, yeah, I'm a cyclist as well. What else have I got? I do use planes. My girlfriend lives in Canada, so I can't really avoid that. But an interesting thing of the dialogue, for the dialogue is that I'm on the autism spectrum. Don't worry, it's not contagious. We have a vaccine for it. You know, my mum thinks she gave me it. Like, she's not an anti-vaxxer, but because I had pneumonia when I was a kid, she gave me like Calpol and paracetamol in the same hour, and she thought that like both of them merged together, like trains, and. That's a weird stereotype that everybody on the spectrum loves trains. It's annoying because I fucking love trains. They're like planes for the earth. It's great. I mean, but like the sustainable lifestyle suits, I suppose, because like, you know, I like all of my coffee in the same cup anyway. I like all of the water in the same bottle. I would have done that regardless. I don't like shopping. So, that's two things of my favorite. To clear up, by the way, I just want to be clear. I'm not on the spectrum because I was vaccinated. I'm on the spectrum because I was never baptized. So just want to be clear about that one. I'm not one of the sciencey ones, by the way. I just want to make that clear. If you toss a box of matches at me, I will be like, that's just a bunch of matches. Can't give you an approximate number on that. I did English and classics here in Trinity. Actually wanted to do a PhD in Victorianism, but it turns out there wasn't a market for it because they said it's not really relevant. Because I was obsessed with the 1890s. So it's a very different time to now. There was they were cracking down on left-wing movements. There was a nascent rise of Toryism, unprecedented industrial pollution, and an expensive war in Afghanistan. So nothing that we can relate to now. It was weird, actually. I think every weird kid is told, like, oh, it'll be better when you get to college. It'll be better. But when I got to Trinity, I realized that, like, Trinity can be really, really progressive or really, really not in the same breath. Like, if you hear someone drop a cheeky Yas Queen on campus, you need to check, like, is this person down with the LGBT community or are they secretly a unionist? Or both sometimes, it depends on the person. I actually ended up working for a bit. I probably shouldn't be saying. I worked for Trinity for a while. I was in the disability service, which was very weird because some of my occupational therapists were now colleagues. So it was kind of funny. I'd be like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I can't really get this computer work. Like, how do I upload this file?" And he'd go like, "Well, Ian," I'm like, "Don't. You're using the voice. I know that. Don't be afraid to ask for help." By the way, I actually heard a member of the disabilities service. They were outlining their strategy, and I heard one going like, "Okay, so we're looking at like there's obviously a massive growth in autistic people coming into Trinity, so we need to make some preparations for the autism wave." I was like, how did they know? When I tell people I'm on the spectrum, it's always a 3-stage process. It's always firstly, you don't look autistic. I've been told my onstage aesthetic can be described as pound shop Pokemon trainer. But thirdly, they always go like, they always have a niece or a nephew that they feel the need to tell me about. So it'll be like, oh, Ian, he's such a good kid. He won't look you in the eye, but the things he can do with a computer, we all love him so much. Which is nice in a sense, but like, firstly, I like the implication that he'd be kicked right out the door if he wasn't good with computers. And secondly, I feel like they're asking, do they think I know this kid? I'm sorry, like, there's a lot of Johns that like My Little Pony on the WhatsApp. I'm not sure I can find him. That is, of course, a joke. Greta got me this gig. So, Greta, like, obviously is probably the most famous person in the spectrum in the world right now. And it's weird that you see people taking pot shots at her because I don't know why you do it in the current climate. But it got me thinking about how we handle climate change in our own country because I just think, do you think, right, that Fine Gael would take climate change more seriously if they realized that the Earth is essentially one giant landlord that needs to be placated? That is my one. I didn't. Yeah, I was. It was a weird adjustment for me leaving college and going into employment because I was a TEFL teacher for a while. I was teaching English as a foreign language, and TEFL in many ways was my own personal Vietnam. It wasn't violent. It's just no one learned anything from it. To give you an idea, there was a day where we were taking a bunch of kids to the park, and if you take someone to a park in a TEFL job, they can go around and play for an hour. You can go wherever you want. My partner teacher just really excitedly told me, "Wow, it's an hour. We can do whatever we want." And I was like, "Oh wow, an hour." What I did was I immediately walked to the nearest Cafe Nero and cried for half an hour. So that's what TEFL was like. If I could condense it into a sound, I'm not lying here. They had feedback forms that students could hand in about you. And on my feedback form, one of them had written, "Teacher should be happy, not sad." Yeah, well, teachers should also be on a fixed-term contract, Aurelia, but we can't all get what we want, can we? How am I doing for time, Diane? 1 minute. Okay, yes, so I didn't realize what was it? Oh yeah, I didn't realize until I got into college that I had things other than autism going on, because that can be overlooked sometimes. I didn't realize I had depression, anxiety, or a latent eating disorder. I had someone trying to get me to cope with that final point a little bit more. They sent me a clip of a English comedian who used to struggle with anorexia. And on the one hand, it was really good because it was really informative. He was talking about how his toxic masculinity, that happens to men too, etc. But at the same time, he was English. And I really don't appreciate a lecture from Hunger about one of them. Finally, I'm just going to say one of the most troubling aspects about it being an autistic person in public is you quite often get people coming to you with cures, you know, because it's not a disease, it's not a curable thing, it's ridiculous. There's lots of various options, but something really disturbing that's been happening in the States is they've been proposing, and I'm sorry for this, bleach as a cure, you know, bleach enemas, injections of bleach, because they think it can somehow be cleansed out. I think that's quite a harmful thing to be telling people about. You're not able to cure autism with bleach. Don't ask me how I know that, but I've got to get going now. So thanks for your time. Enjoy the next act.
Give it a friend, everybody! That giant landlord was a slow burner for me, so I'm gonna be laughing a lot about that later. So thank you. You can catch Ian. Yeah, that's my laugh. You can catch Ian on the 3rd of March. He's in the final of the Cherry Comedy Breakout Act. So if you want to go along and support him there and have a brilliant night of comedy, please do. But now, Elaine was talking about superheroes earlier, but there was one that she did not know about, that lots of us here might not know about. But we do. We have a superhero in the building. Are you excited? I managed to meet this superhero at an extraordinary event, and I convinced him to come here today, and I'm really excited. Please put your hands together for Captain Climate! Woo!
How's it going, everybody? How are you doing? You all right? Yeah, hi. So I am clearly a professional superhero. So would you? It's brilliant. It's amazing being a superhero. But there are a couple of, like when I'm flying around, I can skip traffic and everything like that. But there are some downsides to being a superhero as well. Like, for example, I struggle with people taking me seriously sometimes. No, not like this, don't get me wrong. It's just when they start talking about climate change, I struggle a little bit, you know. And talking about climate change is a really important thing, I think, that we all can do. Like, for example, when there's new terms coming out, like when children start informing us about the environment now, they start calling it instant gratification. And the real one big thing I want to leave you with today is I actually have a solution. I've cracked it. I've used my maths and my science and everything else. And there's this new thing now called an algorithm that's going to solve the whole situation. If you don't know who Al Gore is, check him out. He's amazing. But talking about climate change is a really great thing that we can do. And I was talking to a coal miner there recently. It was a bit of a rocky conversation, and he was, you know, I didn't know where I was going with him, and he was going like, if coal's such a big problem, why don't we just burn it all? And I was just like, oh my God. So I was that close to using my superpowers on him. And would you like to know what some of my superpowers are? Yeah, okay, right. So if I'm flying around the place and I see some man in a van, you know, with his window, arm at the window, thinking he's all cool, and if there's all like fumes and exhaust coming out, like really bad fumes and exhaust, I can just, with my superpowers, with these hands, I won't use them today, so don't worry, but I can just go, pow, and turn that man into a mammal. Now, a mammal is a middle-aged man in lycra, for those of you who don't know what a mammal is. And I don't know which is scarier, the man in a van or the mammal. But yeah, that's really satisfying when I get the opportunity to do that. And then sometimes when I am this doesn't happen often, but if I am talking to a climate change denier, there are very few of them in Ireland, thankfully. But if I do talk to a climate change denier, And if I'm not getting anywhere, because I do try and find common ground and really listen and understand, but if I know I'm not getting anywhere, I'll just eventually just go, okay, I'm sorry, and turn them into a vegan. Now, as we know, vegans are superior human beings, and they're way better than the rest of us, and they love the planet, and they love, themselves as well as the environment. And how do you know a vegan? Because they'll tell you. But yeah, having conversations is really cool. So, like, I was down at Electric Picnic this year, just gone. And I got to talk to a lot of different people about the environment and climate change. It was really, really interesting. And I was asking them what kind of pledges or what promises might they think about going forward. And some of them were great. They came up with all these different solutions and different ideas, cycling more, eating less red meat, even talking to people. It was brilliant. But some people were saying, I'm going to bring my tent home from the festival. And I was like, dude, that is not climate action. That is basic requirement to being a civil human being. Like, if you bring your tent into a field, you need to bring that back home with you, And then recently I was talking to a well-known politician, and I was going, oh, hi, yeah, I'm all about the environment. What's your thoughts on climate action? And I could just see this guy freezing up, and he's going, oh my God. And he's going, oh yeah, recycling. Yeah, that's a really cool thing to do. And I had to kind of restrain myself from using my superpowers on him as well, because, like, recycling is important, but there are more bigger things that we can be doing. So, there's loads of other things that can go on. And like I was down in Kerry there the other day, and I was saving kind of this damsel in distress. She was in a flooded area. We're seeing more flooding now due to climate change. So as we were flying out of the flooded region, she noticed my T-shirt was all ripped, and she said, "What happened to your T-shirt?" I was going, "Oh yeah, oh God, don't ask me." Like, I actually got into a fight with the Healy Rays. Do you know the Healy Rays? And because I was talking to them, and they just weren't getting it, and they were talking, sure, 'tis from God above who controls the weather. And I was losing my patience, and eventually we got into a fist fight. And I'm not a violent person, but eventually we started thumping the head off each other, and I just eventually had to go, I'm sorry, and I turned them into vegans. So you heard it here first, the Healy Rays are now vegans. But she was kind of going, okay, grand. And then when I dropped her down, she's like, would you like a lift home now in my 2-litre Humvee vehicle? And I just had to go, I'm sorry, and I turned her into a mammal as well. But like upcycling, so you wouldn't even notice they're ripping my T-shirt now, because I was out to go home, and I don't live with my mum anymore. I haven't done that in many years, but my mum is a legend, and back in the 60s and 70s, she still is great in a sewing machine, and she showed me how to use it a little bit. So I was out to upcycle and repair my T-shirt. And I think it look really cool now, I think. And then during the week, I was out running, and my gloves were ripped. And my running gloves, the seam of it ripped. And then when I went home, I turned it inside out, and I got the needle and thread out and repaired it. And like, my God, the joy and satisfaction that I got from repairing it. This is zero waste. So probably, like many people here, like stitch and repair clothes, would you, like, ever? Isn't it such, I hadn't done it in such a long time, and I went, oh my, I just wanted to tell the whole world. So it's brilliant. This is like kind of therapy now. It's kind of going, yes, I use a needle and thread, and I was out running again, and I was just so chuffed at myself. It was so satisfying, But like, really, seriously, like the really big thing I want to do now is start a campaign. I think I'm going to go on to Uplift or something like that. And I'm just so fed up with superheroes and the amount of fast fashion, ridiculous waste that goes on. I mean, you look at Batman, right? Bruce Wayne, he's a millionaire, and he's just mindlessly buying all these pretty cool, not as cool as mine, obviously, but, all these superhero suits that he has. Superman, these Disney and Marvel, they're just throwing money at these guys willy-nilly, not thinking about it. So fast fashion, we need to be a little bit more conscious about it. And then the Hulk, for God's sakes. I mean, anytime he starts losing the head, just all these clothes destroyed, it drives me bananas. It's going, look, next time he starts losing the head, just at least, take off the jacket, throw off the shoes or something at least, for God's sakes. So, I mean, like, that's what I want to do. That's my mission in life now. Not only save the world, but save the superheroes from themselves and the fast fashion crazy waste that's going on. But yeah, like, I mean, I'll just leave you with that talking about climate change is something that we all can do. It's something, and we don't have to be experts, and, just really listen to each other and see where we're all coming from and try to understand and find common ground and find those solutions together. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and thanks for having us here today. So all the best. Thank you. Cheers. Thanks, Diane.
Give it up for Captain Climate! Climate also works as, he doubles up as Gary Tyrell, who is one of the directors of the Climate Ambassador Programme, which is how I met Gary. So do check up the Climate Ambassador Programme. But we've come to the final act of the show. Oh no. But she's brilliant! Yay! She plays all the clubs all around the country. Really excited to have her here. And I'm just going to bring her straight up. Give it up for the wonderful Pauline Shanahan, everybody!
Thanks, lads. Oh, this is so great, isn't it? What a great fucking thing. Give us a round of applause to everyone just for being here. It's great. So, I would be a huge fan of recycling. Yeah. I have used all these jokes before. Yeah. No, of course. It's no, please, the least I could do, the least. Yeah, of course, goes without saying. Except for this next bit. This next bit is some new material. I hope that's okay. I'm just going to go first. Could you support that? Is that all right? Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, just going to go for it. Okay, this is some of my... just get that sorted there now. Some of my edgy material. Yeah, okay. Couple of shocked faces. Some people not quite sure what's happening right now. Yeah, okay. Fair enough, yeah. Maybe you had some preconceptions, thought, no, let's, middle-aged woman, looks like a librarian. She's not going to have any edgy material. Yeah. So you're feeling a bit foolish now, are you? Feeling a bit embarrassed for yourselves now, I'd say. Yeah, because I do have edgy material. Yeah. Biodegradable edgy material. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. If anyone's got a problem with my edgy material, shove it up your bum. Yeah. Or something else much ruder, I would say, if this was a club and not children. Yeah. Present. Okay, so do you know what? I'm going to put away the edgy material now. I see some people can't quite cope. Bunch of snowflakes. It's a safe space again. Yeah. Now, the zero waste. I don't have any jokes about zero waste. Just in keeping with the ethos of the festival, really. Just, Of course. Yeah. No, the least I could do. But I am actually, interestingly, I think, obviously, we are, as a kind of nation, climate change is becoming more and more to the fore. In fact, I'm doing another gig on Tuesday about climate change. And all the comedians are talking about climate change. And I suppose, as a comedian, when you start researching climate change, it just kind of hits you. There's nothing funny about it. Yeah. I mean, add that to the annoying list of things about climate change, I would say. I would say the only positive thing about climate change is that it will always be there for you. Yeah. Climate change is not like your errant boyfriend or your distant dad. It is never going to run around and desert you. That's the one positive of climate change. But the one thing I did think was quite funny about climate change is that we caused it. Yeah. We caused it. It wouldn't be around without us. And we are the kind of species, as a species, we think we are the best species, don't we? We just think we're the best. But actually, sharing a planet with us is like sharing a bedsit or a flat with some really bad tenants, Every other species would be leaving passive-aggressive notes on the fridge. Guys, someone keeps leaving loads of plastic in the ocean, and the rest of us are getting tangled up in it and eating it, so we think it's the humans. It'd be really good if that stopped, But kind of the worst, aren't we? But we're doing our best. We didn't know about plastic, or we didn't know about any of it, so we can't beat ourselves up. too much about it. I was kind of, has everyone been to the plastic exhibition? I assume you have. You've all seen it, have you? Yeah. I was fascinated by the bit that was written up on the wall. I just, I found that so interesting. Plastic. Okay, plastic. It is essential, but polluting. I mean, it could be my family, really, to be honest. Am I related to plastic, as it turns out? Am I related to plastic? And then it carries on. It saves lives, but chokes the ocean. It's cheap to create, but expensive to dispose of. Is plastic a riddle? Really, it's kind of the riddle of plastic. And then it carries on. It lasts forever, but is used only once. Plastic. And then the last line is, but living with it might not be an option for much longer. Back to the family stuff there, really, I think. Anyway, so I am kind of looking for more and more material about climate change, but I'm kind of, I haven't written it yet, so wish me luck for Tuesday, lads, would you? Wish me luck for Tuesday. Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to leave with just a little bit about myself. I like to think I'm cooler than a hipster. I'm a spinster. Hey, yeah. We have beards too. They're tiny, just individual hairs. I don't know how anyone can see mine from here. Spinster is quite an old-fashioned word as well. Does everyone know what a spinster is? Do you know what a spinster is, sir? A legend. That's right. Yes. Absolute fucking legend. Of course. But technically also an unmarried woman. / legend. Two go together, obviously. And hobbies, well, I really enjoy standing in Abercrombie and Fitch being unattractive. Lowering their brand worth with my age and irregular features. Love it. Also, I really enjoy lying. Yeah. I think if you're going to lie, go for it. You know, if somebody was to ask me how old I am, I'd say 12. And they might go, really? Because, Pauline, you look a lot older. And I'd go, I know, I look 18. See, I've gone for it there, haven't I? Like people, for example, people lie on their CVs all the time, but they don't go for it, They write things like, I am an enthusiastic and motivated person. Well, I mean, yeah, that's okay. Personally, I would jazz that up. I am an enthusiastic and motivated person, and I used those skills when I was building the pyramids. See how visual that is? It really tells a story. Or, I'm highly organised. I love working with large groups of people, and I used those skills when I was leading the Israelites out of Egypt / bondage. You see? It's visual. It tells a story. And you might think, well, that's not cool, Pauline. You shouldn't lie. Listen, I mean, they couldn't handle my truth, I am an enthusiastic and motivated person who recently returned all my library books before they were due. I mean, you're impressed. Clearly. But you could not put that on a CV. Apparently. So lie, and the bigger, the better. I remember saying that to Beyoncé during one of our many lunches. Okay, that's it. Look, it's 1 minute to 5. Did you know that? I can see the clock from here. So that's pretty much my time, actually. Yeah, that means that's the end of what I'm doing here now. So, that's it. So you can do a clap and yeah. Oh, you're very good. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the stage, your fantastic host, Diane O'Connor.
Give it up for Pauline Shanahan, everybody! And as Pauline mentioned, you can catch her on Tuesday in Whelan's at Bright Club Ireland. Their gig, and the topic is climate change, and they are a brilliant comedy club that do regional gigs all around the country, and the theme is always science-based. So do check that out for Tuesday if you're free. Final big thank you for Zero Waste Festival for having us. Thank you very much. And a big round of applause to the audience for being so fantastic. And the last big round of applause for all your comedians. Woo! I hope you had fun. I hope you feel motivated, positive, and a little bit better. I've been Diane O'Connor. Thank you very much.